Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. This is Harry from Spurs TV, and today I'm back with another video. So I haven't done a video for a while, so I think it's time to get back into it. So today we're going to talk about Spurs problems. Now, as you know, we've lost back-to-back games. It's international break, which has sort of come at the right time. Can Spurs fix their problems with the players they got before January? That is the big question, in my opinion, today. So let's talk about it. So, as we know, Van de Ven is probably out till the new year. I know there was some positive-ish news about him because he posted some picture or something. So people were saying, oh, he might be back earlier. Now, I don't think he's going to just rush him back. So let's just put that off the table right now. And then you have, obviously, the injury to Maddison, who it's not looking like he's going to be here anytime soon in the team. So what does Spurs do from here in the next few games? Now, if you watched me on Southview Coys, along with TJ and Harry Scarf, big up guys, on Friday yesterday. I'm filming this on Saturday, by the way, so on Friday night, let's say. We discussed a lot of solutions or possible solutions or, short-term fixes to the problem. What could he do? What people's criticisms were towards Ange after those two games. Like, do people think that he should utilise the squad more? Do you think that Levy's let him down, which is kind of obvious considering he wanted more than one centre-half in the summer? And yes, we did buy two, but Ashley Phipps, who I'll go on to in a bit, is the one that he's kind of too young and maybe wasn't really the one we should have bought. But I digress. So now we're in this position where our defence is very thin because of one injury. Okay, so Romero got suspended, but Romero was here last year. Adoyo, we've got just one match ban, so he'll be back anyway. But our biggest issues for me do lie in the centre of defence anyway. Romero, for me, is a liability anyway. So, yes, coming back, he will help us because by default, he's our best centre-half that's fit. So he's going to play anyway. Now, who do you partner him with? Or in these games that we're going to miss Romero against Man City, by the way, away, who do you play? Well, we were discussing about Dorrington. And a lot of people have told me that Dorrington's very fast and we should give him a go. Well, for me, play either Dorrington or Phillips with Davies. That's what I would do in the next two games. At least with Davies, to his credit, he was probably our best player away to Wolves last time out. And he seemed to do all right in the left centre-half position. So, you kind of have to play him now. Adogi will be back, so he'll play at left back. Porro will play at right back. But it's time to give either Dorrington or Phillips a go. At this point, you might as well do it. Because Dyer, the fridge at the back, is not going to do any better. We've watched Dyer for 10 years almost. It's quite sad to think about it that way. And he's still not done anything that great. His best time at Spurs was in central midfield. This whole persisting with Dyer in centre-half is just diabolical at this point. Excuse the pun. And we're just wasting our time. Furthermore, Dyer's leaving at the end of the season, so why are we playing a player that we all know is going? It's not like it's someone who was a very hard-working player who actually showed proper skill for the club, or he was a player that was signed on a big fee, that was in and out of the team or something. He showed enough to sort of retain his squad position, let's say, I don't know. But Dyer was never that successful at Spurs. Only with Dembele alongside it did he look any half decent. Let's just be brutally honest. As for the Maddison position, this is where it gets very interesting for me. So you could play Lo Celso there. He would be like the straight up option. And I know we are talking to did the video about this, saying about the few options. So I'm just going to describe what I think. But for me, Lo Celso, again, he could be on his way out, more than likely in January. So again, are you going to play a player that doesn't exactly really want to be here? The club will maybe looking to get rid of him. So will he want to give it his all? Because then he might even know that. So is that the right option? Now, a lot of people say the easiest option is Bentancur. Now, whilst Bentancur is probably on paper the most skilled player in these options that I'm going to list, I don't think he can play really in the number 10 the same way Maddison does. And unless you adjust the style, which, again, we spoke about on Friday night, playing a 4-4-2 or playing like a different style, say using maybe Bentancur as like a runner, like Lampard used to do back in the day, and playing a bit of a different style. Is Ange going to do that? A lot of people argue to me that he won't change the style for Richarlison. He won't play higher crosses or more crosses, which we should be doing anyway. We should be doing more crosses anyway, because that's how we scored the goal against Liverpool. And so will they adjust the style for Bentancur? I don't know. And I just don't think Bentancur, whilst his passing is exceptional and whilst he can read the game so well, he's probably one of his football brain must be amazing. Like, just if you studied it, but he just knows where he's going to pass it before he gets it. As a number 10, I don't think he can fill that role. This is just my opinion. I just don't think he can do it. Like I said, unless you kind of play a way where Bentancur is like the runner, sort of like Dele Alli. I don't know, Dele Alli is the right comparison under Poch, but like Lampard back in the day, you'd had Makelele and Essien kind of sitting, and then Lampard would play as like a runner, and Drogba would play like a different style. But again, obviously we've got Son up front, so he ain't going to play like Drogba, let's be honest. So that's not going to happen. So Bentancur for me, whilst he would be the obvious option and probably the most skilled player on like a list of possible players to replace Maddison's creativity, I don't think he can do it. And furthermore to that, he's still coming back from injury. I wouldn't want to throw him in. So let's just take him off the table. Okay, Bryan Gil. Now, I think everyone knows my number one option is going to be to replace Maddison. So let's just, you're going to wait till the end for that. But everyone should know, who knows it by now. But Bryan Gil, now, whilst he'd probably be the most unpopular person to play put in this position, I'm going to throw this curveball at people. Okay, remember Modric when he came into Spurs? A lot of people wrote him off. Actually, a lot of people didn't rate Modric when he came to Tottenham. And Redknapp turned him into a player. Now, what did Redknapp do? He played a 4-4-1-1 in his first game. He put Modric as like a number 10/free role, if you want to put it that way. And that's kind of what Maddison's been playing, right? Now, granted, Bryan Gil is nowhere near as good as Modric. He kind of stylistically is kind of like him. And Bryan Gil, I don't think he's going to fit on the wing in this system. We've seen glimpses of him playing there. But I think the issue with him, to me, even watching him, is that this is the one thing that kind of puts me against doing this, is that some games he comes across as like he could play wide because of his low centre of gravity. But then some games comes across as like, I just don't think he can do it. I don't think he has the strength to do it, to play wide. Like, it might not work. So if that's the case, you might as well just give it a go at number 10. Now, in this scenario, you're going to have to tell almost like Bissouma Sarr did against Arsenal, to essentially play as like a 2, like a very, not backwards 2, that's not the right word, but as in like 2 sitters, and you have to give Bryan Gil kind of like the freedom to play almost anywhere. Like, he could drift wide, he can go in the middle. It's kind of the opposite of what Maddison does, because Maddison kind of tends to drop deep when he doesn't have the ball, so, you know, it'll be a different sort of style again. Bryan Gil, he does have creativity, I'd argue, and maybe this is worth just throwing him in to see what happens in this position. Obviously, the most obvious one going through is Kulusevski. As people know, I think he struggles so much on the right. And I know Mason put him as a 10, and he didn't have the best of games. I remember last season playing as a number 10, but that was a very small sample size. If you guys don't remember, Antonio Conte once said that he saw him as a future number 10. Yeah, there's that too. So maybe Kulusevski, considering his struggles, maybe he'll actually grow in that position, grow in as a number 10. And don't forget, this one is probably arguably more important because centre halves, to me, there's only like, say, 1 or 2 options to try. With this, there's like a 3 or 4, maybe 5 different things we could do to try and counteract like losing Maddison for this long, because it's going to hurt us, and it's already hurt us. And we have to kind of, you know, what's the word? Make up the creative we're going to lose in either in different ways or with a different player. And changing the style or not changing the style, you're going to have to try something different, completely different. So if you put Kulusevski as number 10, I think he could grow into a really good player. I think, considering his struggles on the right, maybe playing in the 10 and then going back to the right, maybe he'll be, if we would have grown as a player, maybe we won't see the most predictable Kulusevski we've seen over this past 6 months to a year. Because I felt like his first 6 months he was great, but the formation doesn't seem to suit him on the right. He doesn't have the pace, and he's not really he doesn't come across to me as like a proper winger that we would need in this system. So put him in the middle and just see what happens, I guess, at this point. Now, we did also discuss on Friday night changing formations or tactics. So TJ brought up changing tactics. Now, what I like to see maybe is, and again this does involve Kulusevski, is maybe going 4-4-2. Now, okay, we have a lack of depth on the wide areas, but you could put even a Lo Celso on the left or something, or just Brian Hill on the right, and then playing Kulusevski literally as almost like a striker with Son. It would give us a bit of that old school long ball, head it on, or long ball, hold the ball up and lay it off sort of dynamic, which, like I said, very old school, is kind of this sort of thing you do in the 90s and 2000s when we played 4-4-2. And it would, like I said, it would require us to adjust the way we play. We'd have to play longer balls, which probably would have benefited someone like Richarlison if he was playing. And play just more crosses, again, because we have Kulusevski with the height up there if we played a 4-4-2. And you could argue you could put Son with almost any other attacking player in this 4-4-2, and maybe they would thrive. I mean, I don't think Brian Hill would suit unless you played them very close together. Forget Benzema, just throw it off the table straight away. And also, like, you could argue in this 4-4-2, you could play Benzema even on the right. That's how I remember back in the day, Joel used to play Genius sometimes on the right, and I kind of compare the same. I mean, they're not, obviously, Benzema's way better, but you can kind of use the same sort of thing. So you could even change formation. And I think the 4-4-2 in counteracting, the fact we're going to lose, obviously, a defender as well, would maybe mean that we're a bit more compact, a bit more solid in the 4-4-2, especially we play like a central midfield in the wide area. Because I remember, like I said, back in the Joel days, which kind of reminds me of the time we're in now, we used to play a 4-4-2, and then Tinio would play on the left sometimes, and Genius on the right, and you'd see all sorts. Garley was on the right before he shut off the pitch. And you'd see some sort of variation of like the midfielders being used wide. I think Jamie O'Hara on TalkSport even was playing on the left, rather than like in the middle a lot. So he needs to try something different. Maybe we should just, if he wants to persist with the 4-3-3, he kind of needs to just put one of these players, whether it's Hill in the 10 or further forward, or move Kulusevski and put Johnson on the right. But we need to see something different, because we've got Villa at home. I think Phillips or Dorrington have to play alongside Davies. I'd argue Dorrington more, because apparently his pace is he's better. And he has been for our academy, so I think him playing might push the other academy players who, touch wood, have actually been doing really well this season, I've been told, to maybe think that they got a chance. And I think this is a season to give the youngsters a chance, I'd argue myself. So just to conclude, I think Ange needs to try something different. Otherwise, we're going to, as Einstein said, using the same things over and over again, insanity leads to the same results. Which again, 2 losses, so we're going to lose at home to Villa if we don't change it. And I think going to the 4-4-2 might actually help us at home to Villa. I think it might throw a curveball at them, because I probably expect us to play 4-3-3. But let's see what Ange does. But as he is a person, I think he's quite stubborn. So maybe we won't see anything different. Maybe we'll just persist with Dyer. He'll ease Benzema back in rather than throwing him in, which I kind of agree with. Maybe we'll just see Lo Celso playing, because he's the most direct replacement. But I'm sorry, I don't think Lo Celso's got it to do it in this system. I don't think he's actually got it to do it in England. And it's nothing against him as like a person, as a player or as a person. I still think he's going to be on his way out in January. So let's not waste our time playing players that are going to leave, especially like Eric Dyer. So players actually, like I said, I'd rather give youngsters a chance rather than players who we think are going to leave. And now the last one I was going to bring up, a lot of people just talk about Jamie Donnelly, 18-year-old in one of the youth systems. I sound like TJ, use the youth. And then you got Mikey Moore, TJ mentioned, he was like 16-year-old. Like, these guys, you might as well have them on the bench. Because, look, if we lack squad depth, one thing that I thought Arsenal in their early years under Arteta did very well, which kind of, it eventually involved Smith Rowe kind of being the first teamer, and Saka's, breakthrough? Yeah, that's right, yeah. Saka's breakthrough is he did use some of the youngsters, and he did give them a chance. And obviously, surely Levy would like the fact we're using young players. It means he can save some money in the future, right? If one of them comes out and somebody does really well. So Ange, you need to start trying to be different. You need to be brave. I kind of agree with Ellie. Maybe he's scared, but you need to be brave. We need to see something different, Ange. Otherwise, it's going to end up being another bloodbath at Villa, home to Villa. I'm sorry, you need to change it up, and you need to do something completely different, mate. And come on, you Spurs.